Hello and welcome. My name is Jason Howard. Welcome to the first video installment of the Evolution Revolution Video Book Club. I recently wrote a blog outlining what I call the Evolution Revolution on my blog site, www.evolutionarylifeproject.blogspot. The Evolution Revolution is what I call the fight to evolve, the challenge to grow and get better. One way to continue to evolve, to grow, and get better is through education. Learning more, listening more, and reading more. I find that education is the foundation for success. And I want to help others to build that foundation through sharing my recommendations and thoughts on inspirational and educational books that I have read. I mentioned the Evolution Revolution previously, and part of my own Evolution Revolution is to read a book a week over the next year. Might sound like a lofty goal, but I'm up for it. It is said that if you read a book a week that outlines information about the profession you're in, or provides education about the profession you're in, that after a year of performing this habit, you could build yourself up to be in the top 10% of your field. This video book club serves more than the purpose of just sharing with others. I have a selfish reason behind it. It also is a way for me to hold myself accountable to my goal of reading a book a week for a year. I won't review every book that I read over the next year, but I'll keep you updated on what I am reading if I choose to review a book that I haven't read in the past week. So I welcome and encourage your comments and your feedback on the books that I do review. And please, please, please share this video with your friends, family, and colleagues on your social media sites. So I'll start out today by showing you the book that I'm choosing to review. First book is by Zig Ziglar. It's called See You at the Top. It's no coincidence why I chose this book to start. Some of you may already know that Zig Ziglar passed away in the last couple of weeks. So it's my memorial to Zig. The book is Zig's most famous work, See You at the Top. He also has another book which is called A View from the Top. You can see how old I am. I have this in the audio format in cassette tapes. I read this book several years ago. I've returned to it many times. As you can see, I've even lost the jacket to it. I've underlined several passages throughout the book, kept notes, wrote in it several times. In the intro to this book, Zig explains how this book started as a speech. And the name of that speech was Biscuits, Fleas, and Pump Handles. Sounds kind of weird, but if you read through the book, he talks about the stories and what the meaning is behind biscuits, fleas, and pump handles. In the intro to this book, Zig talks about how he'd given this speech over 3,000 times, added to it each time, and eventually developed it into a one-day seminar, and then into a 3-day course. I feel that if one man can reach so many people with messages in this book, then it's definitely worth the time to read. Zig describes the book as a book you never finish. You can pick it up and open it to any page for a mental snack. You can read a chapter for a mental meal, or read it cover to cover as a way of life. There's so much valuable info that you can pull from this book that I could spend several hours discussing the segments, but I'll spare you from that boredom. Let you read it for yourself. I will share with you some of Zig's thoughts and comments regarding the importance of reading. I felt like that's a good way to start out a book club, is talking about the importance and the benefits of reading. The information I'm going to share from you was pulled from only 3 pages of this book. This book is 384 pages long. Lots of tidbits and words of wisdom in this book. So Zig Ziglar says that your mind acts on what you feed it. And I ask you, what are you feeding your mind? Are you feeding your mind stuff like Jersey Shore, the Kardashians, Honey Boo Boo, World of Warcraft, comic books, smut novels? that's what you're feeding it, I would say that's like the equivalent of a steady diet of pizza, donuts, beer, marijuana, and whiskey. It might feel good in the moment, but there's no nutritional value whatsoever. And in those things that I stated, there's no educational value in those. Common excuse that Zig states why people don't read is that they say they don't have the time or they lack the time. Well, Zig says that you have to make the time, and I agree with Zig on that. You've got to plan it into your day just like you would any other task or chore. Part of my evolution revolution, I plan to read. I plan time to read each day, and I look at trying to read at least 40 pages during the day. Now, sometimes I might split that up. Sometimes I do it all at once. Sometimes I might read less in one day, but read more the next day. Zig says that in order to make sure that you are reading, you should keep books in many different places in your house where they're very accessible. By your bed, on top of your TV, on your coffee table, by your favorite chair, in quiet, isolated places, and even the bathroom. I currently have about 4 to 5 books in my car. What I usually do when I go to the library is I'll pull 4 or 5 at a time, and I'll leave them in my car. I'll bring some of them inside, but I leave them in my car in case I do finish a book. I'll always have one no matter where I'm at. Speaking of cars, Ziglar talks about what he highly recommends people do if they say they don't have time to read during the day. And what he calls that is Automobile University. Automobile University is just listening to audiobooks in your car while you're driving. And Zig says that according to a University of California study, the average person spends 400 hours a year in their car. And if you live in a metro area, you could acquire the equivalent of 2 years of college education and 3 years of normal driving time if you listen to the audiobooks during that time. Zig makes it very clear in his book, with the evidence and the studies and interviews from business leaders, that top performers read, and they read often. I've seen information from other books and other authors that states that on average Americans read only 1 book a year. That's, if you look at it, a 350-page book, that's like reading 1 page a day. Anybody can do that. That's no wonder why it's average. On the other hand, most CEOs of major companies on average read 60 books a year. Is that proof for the benefits of reading? If CEOs are reading 60 books a year, that's probably what helped them to jump the corporate ladder and move into the jobs they're in and to have the success that they've had. It is said that it takes 21 days to form a habit. What might your life be like if you were able to establish the habit of setting aside time daily to read an inspirational or educational book? A book that you could learn something from. Well, to answer the question for you, Zig Ziglar states that you might discover that you might enjoy reading, that you also might learn from it, and you will begin to instinctively and subconsciously act on what you are reading and learning. So I encourage you to pick up a copy of See You at the Top. I think you'll find an abundance of timeless wisdom offered by Zig. Now next week I'm going to review another book. I'll show you the book. The book's called Evil Plans. Having Fun on the Road to World Domination. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? In the meantime, I'd love for you to share your thoughts and comments on my blog, www.evolutionarylifeproject.blogspot.com, or on my Facebook page, Facebook at evolutionarylifedesign.com, or on Twitter at evolutionarylife. Thank you. Have a good week.